Men need a brotherhood, but to run a brotherhood properly takes a lot of work. Work in the sense that not all men today are often as masculine as they should be. And when you have a group of guys who are not quite the masculine men that they want or need to be, it can make a brotherhood dynamic kind of, it can go in different directions and the way that it shouldn't go. Um, an example can be that you start a ring of friends, a bunch of guys, and you've got the idea that we as guys need to regulate one another because we're in a polarity sense trying to make it so the women at home aren't being the ones criticizing the guy to get him to improve and achieve things and to be able to provide well. It should be on the men, the other men, right? His senior, like a father figure in his brotherhood around him. Um, but a lot of times I'm seeing with guys is that they engage in these kinds of dynamics with other guys, and it can get a little bit like a bunch of gossiping hens. Like one guy's talking to another guy in that group, and they're like, "Oh, Brad did this and this and this," and it starts to become gossip, right? This is not to talk crud on the ladies, but this is more of a feminine thing coming from a man to act like this. And so, yes, you could have a conversation with another guy about a concern you had about someone else in the group. So as long as it's something that you're actively saying to that man's face the next time you see him. And another thing too is that it should always be in a positive light, a respectful one. And so it shouldn't be such a focus on like, oh, he's so terrible at these things. And you're not providing, like, you have to provide a solution, right? It has to be constructive. It can't just be criticism. And so to do this well, you would want to engage that guy and be like, hey, Tom or Brad, I noticed that at your house, it's really chaotic. You have no control over your kids and your wife. It's just all over the place. A good way to do this, and when you approached him now, you want to go, hey, do you understand, Tom or Brad? Is it an issue? Like, do you recognize that what's going on, the chaotic force in your household, that's a problem? And then he confirms it. It's like, okay, now he's consenting to the fact that it's like, okay, I do have a problem. And so then you're like, okay, well, you as a man, he probably respects because you're having this conversation with him, so he'd be able to listen to you. Be like, okay, well, here's my solution, right? So let's try to find the answer to the problem. Here are the steps that I would take to ameliorate this problem, right? And I can help you to get there too. So you don't want to just throw out like be the strategy guy and you're just standing there just giving him some advice and not really doing a lot of in any kind of work to just lift them up at all, like help them out, because like usually it's a lot of reasons why it's chaotic, right? So let's say you're doing really well at work and you happen to have some extra time on your hands. Maybe you should go to his place and do whatever might need to be done to um, help them feel alleviated from stress. And then also while there, you can motivate him to get more work done, whatever he needs to do to fix up his house or whatever's going on. Some men are just overwhelmed. And so you could be a part of the solution. You don't need to just strategize and tell him what to do. Because a lot of guys are, in their friend groups, like a lot of these guys are pretty smart and they could, probably figure it out themselves, or they're aware of their own problems. Some aren't, absolutely. And you do what they would absolutely benefit from you just standing there pontificating to them, telling them what's wrong. But more often than not, you're going to get better results when you not only help them with understanding the solution, and then you're actually there with them to walk them to the finish line. So this is really important. I mean, it builds really strong bonds. It creates a real brotherhood, a real community of sorts. So this is what, in a lot of ways, what people are lacking in society today. So that's my best recommendation to you guys, is that when you're starting up brotherhoods in your local community, and you're understanding that it's important that men should be regulating one another and it shouldn't be women at the house, because you're wanting them to be feminine, right? So the man doesn't want to this whole life be completely unregulated. So he's going to need to have a brotherhood, right? So, but make sure the way that you're regulating the guy, it's constructive and it's intelligent, and it's in a fashion of teamwork. Okay, it should all be like everyone's kind of in it together kind of a thing, right? You're like out in a tribe with a bunch of teepees and you're just trying to get the job done. So don't disrespect them, right? Just lift them up. So.